Good morning, Thursday, the 5th of August. I have been speaking quite a lot about the moral imperative of us living a life that is righteous, of doing the right thing. And many of the examples I have given have been, in a sense, positive examples of the manner in which someone, we use David quite frequently in our examples from 2 Samuel and 1 Samuel, but there are sometimes negative examples of what can go wrong when you don't do the right thing. And just thinking about this a little and praying before I share, because I've labored this point quite a lot, the thought occurred to me that very often with the buildings in which we live and work, the foundations are out of sight, and yet those foundations are critically important to the building. We think of Jesus's parable about the foolish builder who built his house on the sand, and when the flood came, it therefore had no foundations. When the flood came, the house was washed away. But the wise builder builds his house on the rock, in other words, good solid foundations, and it withstands the onslaught of the flood. And perhaps there is a way in which living our life and doing the right thing is like a foundation. And for many people, it'll be out of sight, but it must never be out of sight and out of mind. And we should see the fruit of that moral foundation in the way in which we interact with other people. Now, the negative example I want to give again comes from the story of David. It's a terrible story and a very embarrassing story. David sends the army off to do battle. This is 2 Samuel 11. Sends them off to do battle. One could well ask the question, why did he not go with them? Is it not the role of the king to go out and do battle? David stayed behind, and whether he was a little bored or whatever, but come the evening, he goes up on his roof to get a bit of fresh air and coolness, and he spies a lady having a bath, Bathsheba, and he lusts after her. And for all of David's incredible relationship with the Lord, his amazing abilities, not only as a warrior, but as a poet and a songwriter. Think of how many psalms were written by David. They were the worship psalms and the liturgy of the day. He lusts after this woman and he makes inquiries. Who is she? Get her for me. And they have intimate relations and she falls pregnant. And David, realizing now some of the consequences of his actions, tries to pin the blame on the husband by making him come back from the battlefield, Uriah the Hittite, thinking that he will come back, he will sleep with his wife, she'll say, I'm pregnant, and he'll assume it was him. Meanwhile, it was David all along. Uriah the Hittite, however, is a man of greater moral character at this moment than David, and he refuses to go home, saying, how can I go and enjoy my wife when the army of Israel is out there struggling, camping? It's a bit of a snide comment, although, oh no, there goes my phone again. Bit of a snide comment to David, who hasn't gone out. So I'm going to turn this thing off. This is really, and it's going to go off again. Sorry. David, who doesn't go out. Goodness, this is taking forever. David, who doesn't go out with the army. He has stayed behind, Uriah the Hittite, leading him by and showing him by example. Eventually, David causes Uriah the Hittite to fall in battle. How unfortunate and how sad that is. There's a consequence because it has a profound impact on the rest of David's life and his family. His family begins to fall apart. David somehow achieves so much, but never quite what it was before. What have you and I done in our lives whereby we have just not done the right thing, and it brings about a consequence which affects us negatively later on? Something to think about. It's a very important thing. How solid is this foundation of moral righteousness in your lives? Folks, have a wonderful day, and we'll chat again tomorrow. 2 days in a row my phone went off. That's shocking. It's never done that before. Better turn it off in future. God bless.